Today on Chainlinked, we'll hear about an unconventional career path to the Web3 industry from Chainlink Labs team member Marc Romero. We'll also learn about the growing international Chainlink community and get perspective from KryptoSeoul's Erica Kang on the growing Korean blockchain industry. Chainlinked is a pocket-sized podcast series looking at the many applications of Chainlink blockchain oracles across global enterprise, the blockchain industry, and emerging tech projects. My name's Dr. Andy Boyan. You can call me Andy, and I'll be your host. A few weeks ago, Ben Wu from the Chainlink Labs recruiting team stopped in to talk about careers in Web3 and Chainlink. He mentioned the story of Marc Romero, a Chainlink Labs team member who had no experience in blockchain, but joined the Chainlink community and took on responsibility and leadership in the Chainlink Advocates program. Marc was able to show off his abilities and now works for Chainlink Labs full-time as a community manager with the Latin American community, Spanish-speaking communities, and more. I wanted to hear your version of that. Like, how did you learn about Chainlink? And then how did you kind of sense this as like, oh, this is something I really want to get involved with as part of the community? How did the job come about and how did that sort of work?
I began on cryptocurrency in 2017. I have absolutely no clue about blockchain. So I decided to study from blockchain, and I realized from a Twitter from Bullish Gentleman, I know from Chainlink, and I was very interested about this project. Every day I was following the tweets, speeches. So in February 2020, I began as a Chainlink advocate. I'm a software engineer, but really I don't like to code. So I'm not a really great software engineer. And I was running a family business dedicated to the real estate. So nothing related with blockchain. If I want to apply for an open role at Chainlink Labs, my resume, my CV is like, no way, you are not a fit. So I decided to begin as a community advocate. And then I tried to work very, very hard.
You looked ahead and said, I want to work for Chainlink Labs specifically, and I want to work in Web3 generally. And so I'm going to study and I'm going to boost up my resume by being a part of this community.
Yes, but because I know that with my resume, it will be impossible, literally impossible to become a team member. So let's find another door. This door is impossible. Let's find a back door. So as I mentioned, I become a Chainlink advocate. I try to host some virtual meetups for the Hispanic community, try to engage as much people as possible.
What did the advocates do, and what did you do at that time? Like, were you just trying to spread the word of what Chainlink is and technology and all that?
Yes, talking about Chainlink to the Hispanic community, we have no meetups, not a lot of documentation in Spanish. Maybe we have the fact sheet, the David Miller fact sheet. We have no other things, I think. Maybe Silvaran wrote something, but not a lot of things. So I began to start to do some virtual meetups. Then I have not a lot of knowledge about Chainlink, to be honest. So I decided to host some virtual meetups with projects that were related in any way, for example, with Chainlink, and I just ask questions. Then with host, I don't know, maybe 10 meetups with the Hispanic community. Maybe even if the projects, they were not directly related with Chainlink, but for example, if they are interesting for our community, it's a way to engage more people. I was doing this during 8 months as a volunteer, and I was very happy. I met a lot of people, so I was very impressed. And now here I am as a community manager for the Hispanic community.
What are you seeing the interest around Chainlink? Are people just curious and learning about the technology like any technology, or are there more builders? What's happening?
Nice question. As you may know, LatAm have a lot of problems with their actual currencies. For example, Venezuela, Argentina, El Salvador, they have a lot of problems with hyperinflation with their own currencies. And the young people wants to stop this, and they are looking for other opportunities. So, for example, they are looking to cryptocurrencies, and they are very, very focused to learn. I was very impressed because there are a lot of blockchain academies in LatAm for free. I feel that they think that blockchain ecosystem could be a nice way to find some kind of work. They want to be very, very prepared.
We see that happening in the Philippines. There's just a lot of opportunity to participate in Web3 as a job. There is actual work that is coming around. And now with all the resources that are growing in terms of developer resources, our friend Patrick just released a 16-hour free code camp resource for example, like there's a lot of resources that are coming out now. So people are grabbing onto those as actual opportunities for job training.
Yes, I'm not understanding is why universities don't have courses about blockchain. For example, in Spain, we have maybe a couple of universities that have one course about the blockchain. So I think that the way the students are trying to learn is changing right now.
Well, they see the opportunity, they're in university, and they're like, okay, well, I have to go do this anyway on the side. So I was in academia for a very long time, and I would propose my own classes and all that. And getting classes, one class on the books is not hard. Getting regular classes and like a major or a minor or a series of classes is really challenging, but it does take a lot longer. Like, it's like a bank or an insurance company adopting blockchain. It just takes longer. They've got to go through more steps. They've got to persuade more people to understand it. And then it's just a slower moving thing.
Yes, but I think that they should do these changes as fast as possible.
We saw a really similar thing with social media too. When Twitter and YouTube really erupted, there were no classes about it. It took a really long time for there to be classes about it. And just now, people have figured out, okay, I need to either have a class about that, and you can find them, or it's integrated as part of a marketing major or a communication major or something like that. But that's only happening now. And it's 2021. I almost said 22. That's how far ahead I am. It's almost, it's 2021. And these came out in 2004, 2005 for Twitter. Like that's a really long time. So that's the time scale. And it's just because of the pace of people understanding going through that process. Can I ask you a little bit about the Spanish speaking Chainlink ecosystem? I know there's a number of community advocates and there's some great node operators, Javier from Digital Bridge and their team. Jose, of course, we talked about and his involvement. He's involved with Linkpool as well. He's an advocate. What are some of the other projects that really have a great Spanish-speaking footprint in the Chainlink community, and what's happening in that Spanish-speaking Chainlink community?
Spanish-speaking community is growing. I would like to engage as much people as possible, but I think that we are doing this step by step. And I think, for example, the next big thing that we want to do is, for example, the bootcamp in Spanish. Talk about physical meetups. This week, I will participate in the first one, talking about Chainlink. And we are talking with some other platforms like Pick2Me or other projects like Moonbeam to host some physical meetups to explain what is blockchain, what are smart contracts, which is the Oracle problem. So I think that things are moving in this case.
That's really exciting, man. I really just wanted to have you on and learn a little bit about your background and kind of what you've been doing. So I appreciate you taking the time, Marc.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And it's nice to talk to you. Like I said, I haven't get to talk to you in a while. You would moderate my Chainlink Live sessions, and you haven't been doing that. The advocates are doing that. The advocates are doing a great job.
For me, Chainlink was not a game changer, a life changer. The most important for me is to every day that I wake up, to be happy, to be in contact with my Chainlink family. I try to contact the community. I'm happy right now.
If people want to get a hold of you, Spanish speaking or community members or projects, people want to learn how to be an advocate, where can they get a hold of you? Where's the best way?
They should go to chain.link community, and then I think that how to become an advocate. We are like a family, the advocates. We are people from around the world, from Argentina to South Africa to Thailandia and Sweden, around the world. So it's pretty impressive.
Marc, thanks for coming on. Today, I have Erica Kang on to talk about the Web3 industry in Korea. Erica has her own YouTube show, The Erica Show, and is a go-to thought leader in Korean crypto, leading the KryptoSeoul community. Hi, Erica. Welcome to Chainlinked.
Hi, Andy. Nice to be here.
I'm really glad to talk to you. We connected actually quite a few years ago in happenstance at a conference. Like I just ran into somebody and started a chat, and it happened to be you. And then we connected again a little while ago at SmartCon.
Yes. It's a privilege to get to know you. And also, it's very random. Really great to connect again. And yeah, thanks for bringing me on.
I feel like the industry, it's pretty small still. So, you can join communities, you can join chats, you can go to a conference or two and start meeting people and network. And you can meet a lot of people that are in the industry in a lot of different various ways. So that networking and relationship building is still very much at play here as we grow Web3 from a relatively small community.
Absolutely. I can't agree more so about that part.
So I want to know a little bit more about the Korean crypto scene. What's the mood towards blockchain technology and Web3 in Korea right now?
In general, I would say that the interest in blockchain and crypto in general is quite large. I think the general public, they do know about Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think that's like the top keywords that they know about. And also blockchain is definitely an emerging trend that people look towards.
Are enterprises looking at blockchain middleware as solutions for technology problems? I mean, there's this interest from the public. Is that moving into business? Are they thinking about this as a technology, or is really the interest still just growing and the idea of businesses adopting still taking some time for people to get used to?
Interest by enterprises have been always there. It's been always there since like early 2018 or so when the market picked up and the keyword has gone like pretty viral. I think a lot of enterprises have, and even major ones, the conglomerates have been looking into it. Actually, even now, I think they've been having like their own blockchain unit for years now. And to be honest, I don't think like there's been significant outcome considering, I mean, relative to the investment that they put in the enterprises, because like there are people that are dedicated to this entire technology and they're looking into it. The general interest is definitely there. Teams that are researching a lot and are looking into it. But like the actual outcome is still a little bit, I think it just takes time because of the very like complicated operation process in these large corporations. Relatively, the startups are less, I guess, complicated. So their level of execution is much higher. So I think they can experiment with blockchain technology much better than the large enterprises.
Well, I know, I mean, in DeFi, I see a ton of Chainlink integrations from projects that are from Korea or have Korean leadership or something like that. So there's definitely those things that are happening in the crypto industry for various DeFi things on a variety of blockchains too. I mean, there's some native blockchains that are kind of built with leadership out of Korea as well. So definitely it is a strong industry in Korea. For enterprise to kind of jump in, I mean, we're seeing that in the West as well, is some are figuring out how are we going to do this? And they're still trying to figure out that technology piece. Are financial institutions in Korea, are they warming up to crypto or blockchain or Web3 as an asset at all?
I can't speak for the entire, banking industry, but there are definitely some banks like Kookmin Bank, that is one of the largest commercial banks in Korea. They've definitely warmed up and they've been heavily looking into this opportunity. And recently they collaborated with Hashed and other various partners in forming like a custody related, organization. So they're definitely looking into like the custody aspect of crypto, and those commercial banks are definitely warming up.
What's sort of on top of people's minds right now?
That's a good question because I feel like the NFT aspect is definitely blowing up in Korea. It's just like the lack of information is frustrating people because crypto Twitter is not heavily used by Korean traders. I think Koreans in general are not really used to Twitter. And I myself had to really get used to Twitter. I mean, for years, it's just not a popular means of, communication and SNS. I think Facebook is still like the official platform where projects like, or leaders, they share their official posts and they announce like their recent, I guess, announcements. And it's just really different way of announcing what they're up to and what they're interested in. A lot of the art, curation platforms or trading platforms, they're very interested in like building up their own NFT platform. So they're all reaching out. Galleries are reaching out. Projects are reaching out. Or artists are like very interested in and designers, fashion designers, the game companies, they're all reaching out to look into ways to integrate NFTs into their existing products or services. But yeah, definitely the hype is getting big in Korea.
Erica, it has been an awesome little snapshot into Korea. I very much appreciate you taking the time. Where can people come and follow you and kind of stay up with what you have going on?
So I'm on Twitter, ekang426, but that's a little bit about what I'm up to. But I also have a YouTube channel. If you search KryptoSeoul with a K, you can see my channel, and I have all my interviews, but recaps from my previous meetups and events. I host a lot of events. I mean, COVID era, I cannot really do much, but I used to do a lot of meetups, conferences, hackathons all over the world. And yeah, I think people can join me and follow me so that, they can stay updated to my latest events or interviews.
I absolutely will. And whenever you get to have in-person events again, I will try to make sure and meet up with you. Again, thank you so much for joining me and hanging out and talking.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks for listening and being part of the Chainlink community. Now, please help me grow Chainlink and the entire Chainlink ecosystem. Subscribe, rate, review, and share the podcast. It helps spread information about the Chainlink ecosystem to even more people. Next, follow me and Chainlink Today on Twitter. I'm at Andy Boyan, and Chainlink Today is a great publication that covers the deeper side of projects and grants in the Chainlink ecosystem. Follow them on Twitter at Chainlink Today and read more about the stories behind some of the industry's top projects. Also, join the Chainlink communities. Try going to chain.link/events. There's a ton of in-person and virtual events there. Meetups, YouTube Q&As that I happen to host, hackathons, and more. That's a good place to level up your Chainlink chops just like Marc Romero did, as we talked about in this episode. What else? Well, that's it for this week, but I've got some exciting guests from Layer 1s and 2s coming very soon, and I'm working on bringing you insights you won't get from everyday Chainlink announcements. Thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you next time.